So I didn't wake up to very good news earlier this morning. I saw that Iran had expanded the strikes, missiles, and drones onto Qatar and the other parts of the Gulf states. And they're also, according to some reports, I don't know, there's a fog of war, that they're moving assets into locations in the southeastern part of Iran in order to close the Straits of Hormuz. Now, of course, that would destroy the Iranian economy because 50% of their GDP is oil exports. But that would put pressure on the rest of the world because most of the oil, I think there's, I don't know, something like 30%. What was the percentage? A large percentage of oil flows through that because you have United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, both of which do have bypass pipelines. There's a pipeline that goes through Saudi Arabia to the Red Sea. But if the Houthis in Lebanon or in Yemen, the Houthis in Yemen close that off, then they're not going to be able to get that out from the south. So they'd have to go north through the Red Sea. In short, the people in East Asia, China, Japan, the Koreas, they're not going to get their oil. Because their oil that they get comes from the Middle East. Europe could get its oil from, say, Nigeria or Angola or Venezuela. So 21% of the world's oil supply goes through the Strait of Hormuz. So this is actually really bad. I had some hope yesterday that there might be some kind of negotiation between the Trump administration and Iran. Maybe there's an off-ramp. They could, stop the war. Trump can say that they knocked off the Iranian leadership, claim, quote, victory. And Iran can say, well, that the regime is still there. The Americans weren't able to upend their regime. It's still there. They, quote, claim victory. That would be the off-ramp. But that's not going to happen. And I suspect a lot of this has to do with Israel. Israel is seeking dominance in the region. They want to be the hegemon in the Middle East. After this, they'd have Turkey to worry about because Turkey is actually the big enchilada, I think, in the Middle East. But so it's actually a really bad situation. It looks like it's escalating, and I really, really hope that there's an off-ramp. If this thing escalates, we're talking about a global economic depression. Everywhere. We're talking East Asia. I'm talking about Japan, including. You're going to talk about China becoming increasingly desperate, and probably China will have to intervene in order to get their oil. Most of their oil, like I said, comes from the Gulf states, Iran and the Gulf states. Europe already is in bad shape economically. So if you close off essentially the Suez Canal, as the Houthis vowed to do, and you shut off the oil supplies, that would, even if that oil doesn't directly go to Europe, it still increases the oil prices substantially. We're talking about oil being well over $100 a barrel, easily. Probably more than that. If the straits are completely shut off, if Iran they've already been hitting Saudi Arabia's refineries, if they actually hit their oil production, if they torch the oil production as, like, say, Saddam Hussein did in the first Gulf War, if they're able to do that, you're talking about oil being well over $200 a barrel. So this is really dangerous. And you're talking about the destabilization. Now, Russia might benefit from that because it's an oil exporting country. I think the Europeans at that point are going to say, well, we're going to have to get our oil from Russia. The United States would benefit from that because we're a major oil producing country. We don't really export very much. But this is actually really bad. The economies were already in serious trouble as it was for various reasons, which I've already talked about before. But on top of this, this is really bad. And this is something that may very well sink the Trump presidency. Trump was the best president of my lifetime. Certainly the best since Ronald Reagan, probably even better than him. But with what he's doing right now, I think he really seriously risks losing that credibility. And history books maybe not remembering him so well as the person that got involved in a conflict that was not at all in American interest for the sake of essentially Israel. So, I've said it a long time ago. I don't know if I really said it on video, but Israel sure can be an ally of the United States, but I think we need to come to a better understanding of that relationship. It's basically the tail wagging the dog. I mean, America is sacrificing itself for the sake of Israel. So like I said, I hope there's an off-ramp. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case. And this is potentially very dangerous, like very dangerous. I mean, that's just the economics part. I mean, there's, Hezbollah operatives all over the world. We have Hezbollah operatives here in the United States. We can have terrorist attacks, major terrorist attacks here. Iran has been actually restrained so far. So if there is total war, if this escalates further, this is actually I can't stress this enough. This is very dangerous. Very dangerous.